Hey dudes, this is Susie Stokey. I played Sandy in The Power, and you are listening to Tommy Throwback Kovac on Splat from the Past. And you know what? Tommy's Catholic. He picks his belly button for Lent.
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming Craig Hamann. Craig Hamann was one of Quentin Tarantino's earliest collaborators. He co-wrote and starred with him in his very first film, the 16mm My Best Friend's Birthday. And I'm having him on the show today to talk about that. He was also in Fred Olen Ray's The Tomb, my favorite Fred Olen Ray movie. And he was also the director and writer of Boogie Boy. He was also in Scanner Cop as well. And I'm going to talk to him about all that stuff. He's had a very interesting career with a lot of gaps in it, and I want to find out why. So, here is my interview with Craig Hamann. Hey, Greg.
Hey, how you doing, pal?
I'm great, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. Doing very well.
That's good. Remaining calm in this crazy time.
Yeah, I know. Things have changed. The rules have changed. And, a little different right now. But I don't know. I mean, if they want us to stay inside, then we should probably do that.
Yeah. And hopefully it'll be over within a month like they estimate, or some of them do at least.
Yeah, I hope it will be too, but I always have my doubts. I mean, when you're talking about a pandemic, you look in the past and any pandemic, whether it was a real killer or just was something that was spreading around, it's really hard to predict, what exactly is going to happen, when it's going to happen, and how long it's going to be.
Absolutely. All we can do is hope for the best.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is such a great honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, no problem. I'm honored too. Thank you for interviewing me.
Of course. So going back in time, did you gravitate toward film early on in your childhood?
Yeah, when I was a kid, my mom and dad used to take me to movies, and they took me to one double feature, and it was Bela Lugosi and Dracula and Boris Karloff and Frankenstein. And I think from then on, I really, I just loved movies. I just wanted to do something in the movies. I didn't know what at that time, but I knew I wanted to have something to do with the film world.
I love both of those movies. They still hold up.
Yeah, they do. I mean, especially for a kid during a matinee, it's larger than life for me.
I've interviewed Bela Lugosi Jr. and Sarah Karloff, and they've talked about their father's legacies. Yeah, it's pretty great. What are your favorite movies of all time?
I really don't have any because it's really hard for me to make a best list. For anything, favorite anything. Regarding movies that I really like and different genres and stuff, when Halloween rolls around, I tend to like, Italian horror. I tend to watch Demons by Lamberto Bava and Lucio Fulci's Zombie. I certainly like what George Romero did with the zombie world.
Yep.
And then movies that are a little bit more modern, maybe aren't even so much genre films. I like a lot of Al Pacino's work. I like a lot of what Robert De Niro does. I like a lot of what John Carpenter has done, and that is pretty much genre work. I really am kind of eclectic like that. I like a lot of different movies and a lot of different genres and stuff.
Yeah, those are some good ones. I love Demons too. That's a great one, and all the Romero movies. I love all of those.
Yeah, me too.
Did you do any acting in school?
No. That's not true. I did some stage stuff, but not with the thought in mind that I was going to be an actor or anything.
Where are you originally from?
I was born in Des Moines, but I really grew up in Detroit.
Oh, okay, nice. So did you go to college to study film and then get into acting that way?
Actually, I went to Eastern Michigan University because it was a good writing college, and I knew I wanted to write. And I was thinking at the time I probably would be a journalist, maybe cover genre film somewhere or with some genre magazine or whatever. And while I was at Eastern Michigan University, I'm going through the book that has all the classes that are listed that you can take, and I see screenwriting.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, that's interesting. And I took the class and just loved it. And then I knew after taking that class, I was going to be a screenwriter. As far as being an actor, though, as far as getting into acting, because when I moved down here, that's the first thing I started doing, well that and stunt work.
Mm-hmm.
And not really stunts as far as, taking big falls, but because I was a martial artist, stunt fighting and in a lot of lower budget films and stuff. But the reason why I got into acting down here, I actually I needed to make some money. Once I moved down here, I took a job at Bank of America as a bank teller,
Mm-hmm.
and this very attractive lady named Jeannie Wilson came up to my window and just said, "Are you an actor?" And I said, "No." She said, "You should be." I told her I wanted to be a screenwriter. And she invited me over to the James Best Theater Center, which was an acting school. So I went. And once I got there, I did catch the bug, the acting bug for a while. And I did that and made money doing that before I ever made money as a screenwriter.
Wow. And what movies did you do stunts on?
Can't even remember the titles. Most of them are very low budget. Most of them, some of them never made it to the editing room. Others just did not get released.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, there you are. There was one movie that didn't get released, but it's notable because Quentin was in it as well. It's called Warzone.
Oh, yeah, Warzone.
Yeah. So I did a fight in there with another character in there who was our stunt coordinator. And it was a pretty good fight, kind of a toe-to-toe battle. And that's probably one of my favorite moments. And again, it was because Quentin was in it, and Quentin and I had a lot of scenes together.
Mm-hmm. What year did you move to L.A.?
That's a good question. I think like 1980.
Wow.
Maybe, yeah.
1980. Yeah, I was reading you took acting classes under James Best.
Yeah, sure did. He was playing Roscoe P. Coltrane at the time on
Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard. And so he'd come in. He wasn't even there that often.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't because he didn't care. It's just that he was busy. He was working.
Yeah.
And couldn't always make it in. And Jack Lucarelli, who was another instructor, taught a lot of the classes, as did Brenda Hillhouse. But they were good, too. They were good teachers, too. And so, and James Best certainly was a good teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a great school, even though, Jimmy was working so much.
Yeah. Was Kathleen Kinmont in your class?
I don't believe so. I think she may have come on another night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't think she was in my class.
Yeah, because she's told me many times that Quentin was in her class and that she wishes that she'd been a lot more nicer to him. And that's,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I must be forgetting her then, because Quentin was in my class. He took the same nights I did. So she probably was there and I just forgot.
Yeah. In fact, she's finishing up her book, which is called "I Should Have Been Nicer to Quentin Tarantino."
Oh, that's great. No, that's really cool. The name sounds really familiar, and that's why I was thinking about it, because trying to go through my crippled memory banks here and try and put a face to it, because the name does sound familiar to me.
Yeah, she was on Renegade, and she was married to Lorenzo Lamas during that time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Were there any other people in your class that went on to greatness?
Oh, I don't know. let's see. Yeah, there was one. Dennis Haskins.
Oh, Mr. Belding.
Yeah. But he worked a lot. Got to give him credit. Yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I think as an actor in the class I was in, he might have worked more than anybody.
Yeah. Wow. Mr. Belding was in your class.
Yeah.
Sheriff Coltrane was the teacher. That's so funny. Now, you're the third person I've had on from The Tomb. Fred was on a couple of years ago, and I had Susie Stokey on last summer. How did this movie come into your life?
I was thinking about that earlier today, and I believe it's really because I already knew Fred before he did the movie. And a friend of mine, a guy named David, he and myself were asked by Fred to play these two roles in The Tomb. And I was very eager to do that because really, here it was a paying gig. Didn't pay a lot, but it was. And I certainly could use the money at the time. And it was an acting job. And I liked Fred. And so that's how I got the part. And that's how I got in the movie.
Did you look at the script and go, what the fuck is this?
No, I really didn't. I don't know that I ever saw a full script. I only saw the sides that, I was doing. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't really judge the script. The screenplay that was written was by someone who's got some talent. His name's Ken Hall.
I know Ken.
And it might have been a very good script because not what he wrote didn't exactly get to the screen. Now, some of that's because of locations and other problems and things. So, the script actually might have been pretty good up front.
Yeah. I think it's a brilliant movie overall for what he did right and stuff.
Well, yeah. With Fred, when you work with Fred, or at least back then, he moved very quickly.
Yeah.
And he had to. Because Fred didn't have a lot of time on these films. And he didn't have a lot of money to work with. So he had to move fast. And usually he would make movies that were kind of tongue-in-cheek, which was good because it gave the actors a little more freedom. And the fact is, back then, very few people were making movies on a consistent basis the way Fred was.
Yeah.
Fred was almost another Roger Corman in that way. He was, grinding them out, and every one of his films had something good in it,
Yeah.
And I really respected what he was doing, and I respected him. I still do, as far as that matters. And I sure enjoyed working with him. He's a good guy.
He is, yeah. He was one of at least three guys I could think of, along with David Dakota and Jim Wynorski, these guys who made these really cheap movies that had gratuitous TNA and cheesy one-liners and campy violence, and they were very profitable for the VHS market.
Yeah, they sure were. And back then, it was quite a market. I mean, VHS, when it came out, it exploded. And there were a lot of independent, films being made and then transferred to video or shot on video right away. But you're right, you named some good ones. And David Dakota, by the way, another guy I know very well. Mm-hmm. He's a hell of a nice guy, real good guy. I've always liked him. And he's been a workhorse for decades, turning movies out. And what he'll do is, sometimes David would do something for Lifetime or something where he's hired just as a director. But a lot of times he produces his own movies, and because he used to be a distributor, David knows where to distribute his films. Where to distribute his work, who would like it, who wouldn't. Sometimes, and probably a lot of times, he has deals on distribution before he even does the movie.
Wow, yeah. David Dakota, I've met him too. He's a very nice guy. And
he's very nice, but he's also very sharp. He's an intelligent man.
Mm-hmm. He sure is. Yeah, I bought a VHS copy of The Tomb off eBay, and it was under fake Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's fairly good definition. I'll tell you what, with the tune, though.
Yeah.
It was a riot for me. And one of the reasons why, for me anyway, at the time, was because I got to spend time with Sybil Danning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was the nicest lady, and she told me so many important things about the film world, about doing independent film and stuff. And we just talked and talked, and I mean, that was an absolute blast for me. That and the fact that I got to meet John Carradine. That meant a lot to me, too. As a film fan, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've interviewed John Carradine's granddaughter, Callista, who was David's daughter, and she has very fond memories of her grandfather.
I'm really glad to hear that, because the brief time I got to spend with him, he was a gentleman and a very nice man. And that's the thing about John Carradine. I mean, he was always kind of theatrically mad.
Yeah.
But he was also a gentleman, and I really enjoyed that about him. He was really nice. I was nobody when I met him, and he didn't care. He was cool.
Did you also get to meet Cameron Mitchell?
No, I didn't. I don't know how I missed that, but other than none of my scenes involved him, and so no, I didn't. And I was looking forward to it, but it didn't happen.
How about Susie? Susie Stokey.
Susie. Yeah. But I didn't really get a chance to talk to her. The only time she was there, and I was there at the same time, I was like kind of arriving while she was still working, and then she would leave when I was ready to do my stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had her on last summer. Oh, God, she was a lot of fun. And
oh, yeah.
And she was the only woman who ever had an orgasm on this podcast. All I did was ask her a simple question. There was a 3-second pause and then a loud orgasmic scream. It was very entertaining. I just listened to it again recently, and I was like, oh, my God, this is podcast gold. How about Michelle Bauer?
And again, there you go. I was not in the same scenes that she was, so I never saw her once. I at least saw Susie Lee while I was coming in,
Mm-hmm.
But I never got to see Michelle.
Yeah, she's great in everything Fred put her in, and she's on my wish list of guests to get. I hope eventually. She's always changing her name, though, so I can't find her on Facebook. Yeah.
I tell you, the only way I met Michelle really in the entire time that we both have been working was through Linnea Quigley.
Yeah.
Because Linnea is a very close friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
And so I met her, and I've met other people too. I might have met David Dakota through her. It's either through her or Courtney Joyner. I'm not sure which one, but I've met a lot of people.
Yeah. I love the part when Jay Richardson wakes up and says to Michelle Bauer, "Do you work for the IRS?" That's a brilliant line. Yeah, I used to watch this movie on USA Up All Night when I was a kid. They would show like two of Fred's movies in a row sometimes in one night, and yeah, I just love the movie. He hired some pretty good local musicians to play in the club band.
Yeah, he did a good job at that. Fred's movies, look, the thing about them is, when you watch them, they're made to be fun. And really they are. I mean, some people say you have to be inebriated or something, but whatever you are, whatever your state of mind, I think the movies are fun.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun. And this was only shot in 13 days?
Probably. I don't recall that. I was only there for, 2, maybe 3 days. I don't recall. But it was being shot very quickly. Mm-hmm. Very quickly. He was moving right along. And he, like I said, he had to. He had a feature-length film he had to get done in probably 13 days.
Yeah, he shot Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers in like 5 days or something.
Yeah, he did. But I like that too. I like that movie as well.
That's a great one. Yeah, that's to me his masterpiece of that era.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to show how iconic Fred really is, think about the scene with Linnea dancing with, the chainsaw.
Right.
I mean, that's famous. That became a scene that everyone wanted to see, and everyone tried to see. And they did see it. All genre fans know it. All genre fans have seen it. So that's Fred. That was his work.
Mm-hmm. So how did you and Quentin come up with My Best Friend's Birthday?
Well, what happened was, before that, Quentin and I already knew we wanted to shoot something. We just didn't know what.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were kicking ideas around, but one day I just kind of got this idea of making a film that was, like loosely about Quentin and me, and the fact that, like the lead character's turning 30 and his friend is trying to give him a good time, and it keeps ending up into a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I pitched it. We went to a friend's wedding reception, and it was in outdoor again. And Quentin and I went, I don't know, kind of off on our own, and we're just sitting there, drinking beer or whatever, and talking. And I pitched this idea to him, and then little by little we kind of put it together. And then after we had kind of ironed out what we'd want to do, Quentin said, "You write the script, I'll direct it." I said, "Okay." But when I wrote the script, the first script I wrote was like 18 pages because it was going to be a short film. And as we were shooting, I think it was Quentin and Rand Bossler, who was the cinematographer, decided, hey, man, this should be a feature-length film. And then Quentin told me about it later when I came in that night, and I said, "Yeah, let's go for it." And we didn't know what we were doing. We just figured we'd just jump off a cliff and build our wings on the way down. And that's what we did. And Quentin says this, and I agree. It was our film school.
Yeah. And Fred told me he loaned you guys a camera, and you're quoted as to saying that it had to be charged with a car battery.
Look, Fred did a big solid for us. He lent us a 16-millimeter Bolex camera,
mm-hmm.
and we used it all through the shoot. It didn't hold a lot of film. Every 100 feet, we had to change it out.
Yeah.
And a friend had to build a blimp for it because it was noisy, but that didn't matter. We had a 16-millimeter camera in order to shoot our film, and we had no money, but we had that. That was really cool. So, I'm indebted to Fred, and I'll never forget that. That was an awesome thing that he did for us.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know that's very rare and stuff. I know Fred had told me that Quentin had hung around the set of The Tomb.
Who said that?
Fred said that Quentin hung around the set of The Tomb to learn how to shoot.
No, he didn't. I don't remember that at all. Quentin and I were best friends back then. I don't recall that. Maybe he did on some days. I wasn't there, but I just don't remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I talked to Crystal Shaw. She told me that she had been in acting class with you, and she calls this her claim to fame. And I'm like, Hard Rock Zombies isn't your claim to fame?
Crystal is a hoot. She really is.
Yeah.
She's just sweetest person you could ever meet. And she worked in My Best Friend's Birthday with us, and she worked her butt off, and she was really good in it.
Yeah, she's an absolute sweetheart. She was taking me to so many different places during our interview. She was just really funny too.
Yeah.
And Alan Garfield got in there. Wasn't he one of the teachers too that taught you guys?
Well, he wasn't part of the James Best Theater Center, but Alan had his own school, and I believe Quentin started going there first. Yeah, he did. And then he told me about it because I was kind of looking for an acting school again. And so then I went there. And so we both were going to classes, and Alan was teaching us. He was a good teacher, too.
Mm-hmm. He's a great actor. Is he still working?
Yeah. I don't know. I had heard from somebody that Alan had retired.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
And this is where Quentin and you met Roger Avery? Or was that before?
Possibly. I think we met Roger Avery through Scott McGill, the late Scott McGill. He's not with us anymore. I'm pretty sure that's how we met Roger. I may be wrong, but that's how I met Roger. And Quentin maybe met him through another way. But I met Roger through Scott.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they wrote some stories together for Pulp Fiction, and they had a falling out, right?
Who did?
Quentin and Roger Avery.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, they did. I think they patched that up, and I think they're okay now. And so,
oh, that's good.
It's a thing of the past. I got to tell you something. A lot of the conflict between Roger and Quentin, or supposedly between Quentin and me, a lot of it was hyperbole. It was grossly exaggerated by people who really didn't know anything about it. And I love Quentin. And I love Roger, too. Roger and I are still very good friends.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Quentin for a while, but if we ran into each other, we'd be just thrilled to see each other.
Yeah. Because you guys got such that history, and that's where his career began,
Yeah, well, with my best friend's birthday, I always admire anybody if they just charge into trying to make a movie. That's what we did. We didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea what we were doing, but we did it anyway. And for me, I had kind of a secret weapon to do that, in that I had Quentin, who was just so multi-talented and so good. I mean, right away, his instincts as a director and a writer, they were all starting to form right away. I mean, and then you could start seeing them much more clearly with Reservoir Dogs.
I was reading too, Don Coscarelli helped you out too with this movie?
My best friend's birthday?
Yeah.
She might have. I apologize, but I don't remember, but Roger sure knew him. So it makes sense. He might have had a hand in it one way or another.
He's a sweet guy, Don Coscarelli.
Yeah, I've never met him. Yeah, I hear he's a real good guy.
Yeah. Were you disappointed that the movie didn't live up to what you guys were trying to do?
No, not at all. At the time where things kind of came to a crash and burn, I probably was. But both Quentin and I were working on other things too at that time. Quentin was starting to get a big career together, and I was writing and acting and just doing what I could to make money and trying to get more educated in my craft. And really, we kind of grew past my best friend's birthday. It just kind of happened to everybody at the same time. Quentin, Roger, and me. We had spent 2 years on it, and the thought of reshooting that and then spending another year or something on it, I don't know. It just got to be tiresome. And so, that's what happened. But that said, I'm very proud of it because, as I said, we did jump in and try to do something before we even knew how to do it. And that takes balls. It does. It takes some courage to do. Any independent filmmaker who does that, they're doing it out of courage and passion.
He had you do a voiceover for Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah. Actually, I did more than one. I actually, in fact, around that time, I was working as a voiceover, doing voiceovers in films and stuff, TV. But I did one of the people that was in the car. There was a car, like looking out at some characters. I think it was 2 cops maybe inside a car.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I did a party scene, too. Different voices in that. And then at the end of the film, when the police run in, and there's Harvey Keitel, sitting on the floor. There's a bunch of cops yelling at him to drop his gun and everything. I'm one of the cops doing that, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, did he offer you any other roles in his movies?
No, he never did. But keep in mind, I also quit being an actor.
Oh.
Oh, no, he never did.
Mm-hmm. I see you did an episode of Murder, She Wrote.
Yes, I did. That was funny. Something happened on Murder, She Wrote. I am not sure if they fired someone or someone just quit or the actor they had. It was a, guest starring role. Somebody did something. I don't know what. My manager, Catherine James, gets a call. They need somebody, a certain type. She thought I might be right. I ran down there and I auditioned and didn't know how it went. I felt good. As I'm driving back, they're on the phone with Catherine saying, we need to call him back. He was really good. He's right for this role. And so I got back to Catherine's office. Remember, we didn't have cell phones back then. And then I had to turn right around and then go back to the studio and then audition for producers. And then I got the role. And they were really in a hurry. And then like the next day, I think it was, or next week, I think we did it on Friday. And then on Monday, we started shooting. I shot a whole week there. And was being paid very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Larry Wilcox was in that episode, and Corinne Boyer. Yeah.
Yep. Larry Wilcox and I hung out a lot in that episode. We got to know each other, and nice guy. I enjoyed working with him.
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. And of course, you did Scanner Cop. How was that experience?
That was twofold. I knew the director-producer, Pierre David, and also
mm-hmm.
I thought, maybe not, was Sybil Danning in that movie?
Who?
No,
Sybil Danning?
Sybil Danning.
Let me look.
I thought she had something to do with it, with me getting the role too, but maybe not.
No, she wasn't in it.
No, she wasn't. Anyway, there were two reasons why. Pierre David, I knew him, and the second reason was I was working for him too at that time. I was writing for him, mm-hmm. and they knew I had done some acting, and so they just wanted me to do this one cop quick thing in the movie, and I said sure. And so it was shot one night. My stuff was shot fairly quickly, but I enjoyed it. It was very cool. Got this, shoot a gun. So, that was cool.
Yeah. So what's the genesis of Boogie Boy?
Well, truthfully, what happened was I had been doing a lot of, like uncredited rewrites and things like that where, I wanted to do something of my own. And I was really good friends with Mark Dacascos. He still am. He's one of my best friends. And I decided I wanted to write something for Mark, and I told Catherine that. And she said, yeah, by all means, please do. Well, the problem was, when I first started working on it, then I got some other jobs, and I kept having to put it down and, work on other things. And finally, when I got around to finishing it, I was really happy with it. And I showed it to Catherine. She liked it a lot, too. And originally, when it went around, Gilbert Poe was going to direct it. And I think Thunderbird Pictures was going to do the film. But the problem was everybody wanted to change different things, and I was like really headstrong about it, saying, no, I don't think you should do that. So finally, Roger Avery, who was going to put his name on it, he said, listen, Craig, the only way I'm going to do this is if you direct this. And I said, Roger, I've never directed anything. He goes, it doesn't matter. You're really passionate about this. You really want to do this. You have a vision. And so he made it clear he would not help out unless I directed it. And then Catherine you have to direct this. So I rather reluctantly stepped into the director's shoes, and once again, I was in a place where I was kind of learning as I was going along. But I sure enjoyed the experience. And even though I didn't have a lot of technical knowledge, I did have a vision. I knew what I wanted. And I found out as being a director, that's the most important thing, really. You have to know what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how was working with Emily Lloyd?
It was difficult.
Yeah.
Emily's nice. She really, during much of the shoot, she was probably high, smoking dope mostly.
Mm-hmm.
It's pot, but, she was high a lot, and she was very temperamental.
Mm-hmm.
But, you see, with Emily, I wanted to cast Juliet Landau in that role.
Yeah.
And she was the best of anyone we read for that role, hands down. She just nailed it like it was like she was waiting to do it all her life. And when Juliet Landau read for me, and our casting director Hank McCann, she did something that was really cool. When she was about to read, she just kind of bent over. She's sitting in a chair. She bent over. All the long hair fell in front of her face. Couldn't see her head. When she came back up, she was the character. Mm-hmm. I could see it before she even said a word. But the problem was Imperial, who did the film, wanted to grab someone from Europe or the UK because, they want to sell there, so they wanted a name from there. And that was the only role on the film I kind of had no control over. So Emily got it. Now, the thing is, I wasn't that disappointed. I knew Emily was a good actress. She's very talented. There's no problem there.
Oh, yeah.
But what I didn't know was how eccentric she was. And I'm not trying to talk ill about her. She's had some problems, and she's gone through a lot. But as an actress, she is loaded with talent. It is there. It's natural. And, if she doesn't let herself get in the way, she can do a hell of a good performance. What I wanted from the character, though, was like maybe 5 different levels. Emily gave me maybe 2. So what we had to do in the editing room, my editor and I, we had to basically splice together her performance, and take what we could get and then shape the performance so that those things became strengths in the character of Hester.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she's a very talented actress, and, I always wondered, what had happened to her, but then when I started interviewing people and hearing about how difficult she was on sets, then that all came together, and it's sad, because she was very talented. She could have won an Academy Award.
Yeah, she was there's no doubt about that. I mean, it was right from the get-go. One of the first things I noticed about her is that she was a really gifted actress, but she just kept getting in her own way. That was the problem.
Yeah. Joan Jett was in the movie. How was she to work with?
Joan Jett, oh man, she's so cool. I had written the role for Mel, like an Iggy Pop or something. Mm-hmm. I went to New York with my casting director, Hank, and we were seeing people there as well as we cast people, obviously, here in Los Angeles. And my manager, Catherine James, had suggested, why don't you make that role a female role and cast Joan Jett? You love Joan Jett, and really, why can't that role be a female? And, Catherine was right. So when we went to New York, casting director got in touch with Joan's manager, and Joan came in. And I don't even think I even read her, but just the thrill of meeting her, I was so starstruck. God, I probably stuttered through the whole thing. Oh, by the way, and then when she was there, I bought a new shirt, and I wore it that day, and little did I know that the cardboard thing that's under the collar was still there, in the shirt, and I think a price tag was on the back or something. I hadn't taken any of it all. I was just, nervous about it because I'm just such a big fan. California then and worked with us on Boogie Boy. She was really good. She was easy to direct because she really listened and she worked really hard. And there was a moment in Boogie Boy where she was going up on lines and she was doing this scene with Mark Dacascos. And Joan actually came to tears. She started, and I took her off the set and she was saying, I want to do so good for you and everything. And I told her, I said, hey, man, just, I said, Joan, just because, you forgot a line, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. And I asked Mark, I said, how many times that happened to you? He goes, every movie. And that, she understood that then and then got back into it. And I thought just gave a great performance. I love her. I love her work as a character jerk. I'd love to work with her again.
Mm-hmm. And you also had Tracy Lords in there.
Yeah, another outstanding lady. Good actress and fun to work with.
And
hard worker. Yeah. What?
Oh, I was gonna say, and Linnea's in there too. Did you know her for years before that?
Yeah, I knew Linnea was going to be in there somewhere because I wouldn't have shot the movie without her in there, and I was really happy to have her in 2 scenes with Tracy Lords. I really wanted that too. I thought all the fanboys of the world might get a kick out of that. And, Linnea, she's one of the coolest people I've ever met. So it was fun working with her as well. And then working with her and Tracy at the same time, that was really great.
Yeah, she interviewed me for her documentary Extras.
Oh, yeah, good. That's cool. Yeah, same here.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for that thing to come out,
It will.
Yeah. You've had an interesting career because you don't have many IMDb credits. What did you do between every job?
Well, there's several reasons why. One reason is I'm a writer, a screenwriter, but I'm a writer, and I've done a lot of writing gigs that are not film related.
Mm-hmm.
If it meant, here's something that's really weird. When I first met Quentin, I had come to Hollywood. I wanted to do big movies. Quentin wanted to do all these small B films. Now he's doing big movies, and I ended up, de facto, an independent writer and then director. So financially, that doesn't always work. So when something would come along, and my manager would get it, and it was, write a business proposal for some entrepreneur, and they get paid good money, I would do that. And so that was one of the reasons why there are some gaps. But there's another reason, too, and I never have been able to decide if it's a mistake or not. I became a ghostwriter for a while in the 2000s. And when I say ghostwriter, I don't mean someone who just writes something uncredited.
Right.
There's a lot of people who do that. I'm talking about you have an attorney present, and there's a non-disclosure contract that if I, say I'm the real writer on this, I have to forfeit or pay them back the money, and it could be a lawsuit or who knows what. So I did that. Catherine got me some good jobs, and they were paying extremely well. And I hate to keep sounding like I'm in it for the money. I'm not. It's just that I'm not in it to starve to death either. And the things I'm passionate about, oftentimes it's very difficult to get those things off the ground. But through the 2000s, I was doing ghostwriting and making significant money doing it. And I did it for quite a while, for years.
Yeah, no, you sound very passionate about it. Usually people who are in it only for the money are people who do a lot of it and never talk about it,
Yeah.
But you sound passionate about it, though. Yeah, I mean, I admire anyone who can live in LA the rest of their lives and survive,
The cost of living is outrageous here in LA. Probably everywhere, but here it's really out of control.
Yeah, it's really strange. Do you have any upcoming projects?
Yeah, I do. This is a weird time to have them, though, because so much is shut down.
Because of what's going on, yeah.
Yeah, because of coronavirus. things are justifiably shut down. And productions that were, in the works stopped. So there's that. But when the smoke is cleared, and I'm still doing it now, we being my partner, Sam Dobbins, he's a actor and producer, and he's directed too before. He and I have a thing called Smokers that we're trying to do as a streaming television series. And it's kind of an action, horror, science fiction, revenge plot with a nice hook in it. And we're trying to get, that's kind of fresh off the presses as far as the version we have now, what we're trying to do, and trying to make it into some kind of streaming series. We have it with a showrunner right now, and we'll see what happens with that. But that's what I'm very passionate about right now. That's the number one thing I'm trying to get off the ground. And it's going to be a ton of work, and I realize that, but that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned before that you haven't talked to Quentin in a long time, but did you like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I'm going to be honest with you, I have not seen it.
You haven't seen it? I totally...
No, and the only reason why I'm going to see it now, I was kind of hard-headed, but I've been a martial artist for 47 years, and I kind of made some promises to some people that I wasn't going to go see. We all kind of boycotted it because we felt the way Bruce Lee was treated was just not right.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be petty about it because I know Quentin's work is always good. I always love everything he does. I've seen everything else, and I want to see what the actors in it too. I know there's some really big talent in it.
Yeah, and
see what the leads.
In all honesty, it's one of the best things that he's ever done, and I actually don't think that his portrayal of Bruce Lee is offensive at all. I actually think it's kind of a roast, of showing, an exaggeration of how big his ego was,
Yeah, but I guess I don't know.
It's very cartoony.
I've seen the scene, and there's little things like Bruce Lee loved Muhammad Ali. He never said he could take Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And he wasn't looking for a fight. He wasn't like that. I don't know why Quentin had to portray him that way. And let's keep in mind that the original scene called for Bruce Lee basically to get his ass kicked.
Right.
It was Brad Pitt and the fine stunt choreographer who stepped up and said, "Oh no, this has got to be a tie at best, because you're talking about Bruce Lee." So they changed it. So God bless them. I'm glad they did. But then you look at Shannon Lee. She's upset about her father being portrayed that way. And I don't know. I just, this is a guy who did a lot for getting Asians to work in the film community. And it's a guy who was a pioneer and an icon,
right?
In genre film. So I guess a lot of us, we really look at him with a great deal of pride, and so maybe I'm even overreacting, but it doesn't matter because I will see the film. I'm going to because I want to see. I know it's really good. Everybody's told me it is. Everything I see. So.
Yeah, I just interviewed the stuntman that Brad Pitt portrays, Gary Kent, and he told me about how him and Quentin had lunch, when he was writing the script and getting the information about what went on at Spawn Ranch and all that stuff, and it was pretty fascinating, I have to say.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Gary's cool.
Yeah. Do you also still talk to Fred?
No, I haven't seen him for a long time. I mean, that's another situation. We run into each other, be happy to see each other. It's just he's busy, I'm busy, and our paths have not crossed for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a great guy, though. Well, Craig, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been a very interesting insights into the independent film world, I have to say.
Oh, good. I hope so. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and I hope your projects come to fruition after this insanity ends, and I'll be keeping an eye out for them.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too, pal. Bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it. Craig Hamann. Ain't he a cool dude? Ah, very nice guy, and very humble. Doesn't hold any grudge or resentment towards Quentin and his success. He's very happy for him, and I'm glad. That is just awesome to hear. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes!